My man.
Hey dude, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm all right. It's nice.
Midwest mindset. I like this hat.
Midwest mindset. It's the kind of shit I get when I'm in Madison. I
Okay,
go
well,
to like I don't know, stores that I would go to when I was younger, teenager, that kind of stuff, university bookstore.
yeah,
And if they've got all this kind of Wisconsin ephemera naturally. So I usually like to pick up at least one thing that I can bring back to New York and
and spread the love.
rep my roots, right?
What does that mean, Midwest mindset? What is the Midwest mindset?
You know, I could probably spend a few hours talking about this, especially in my because when I turned 18, I moved out of the state. I lived in California for a long time, and then
Yeah,
I've been in New York, and now so I haven't really been in the Midwest for a long time, but it's still kind of a part of my identity, right?
of course.
And I feel like there's when I'm on the East Coast, especially out here in New York, people are much more forthcoming with what they think and what they want to say and they speak their mind, all that kind of stuff. But also there is kind of underneath that like a readiness to be helpful
Hmm.
and to be kind and stuff like that, even if they might seem like assholes on the face of it, right?
Oh, that's
And
interesting.
uh and I think some people think, there's this kind of Midwest niceness, but underneath that, the people really don't care unless you like look like them, believe like them, all that kind of stuff, right? But I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think that I appreciate kind of life at a certain pace, and I appreciate kind of like getting to know people beyond kind of a surface level, that kind of thing. So, but
Yeah,
I think I would say I generally like to kind of assume the best in people and kind of give people generally the benefit of the doubt, even if they're different than me, and that's okay. So
oh
so
man,
I like
preach,
to think that
preach.
I've gotten kind of like a mix of qualities from all the places that I've lived. Um,
Yeah, I couldn't agree more just based on my experience, but like no one knows this, but like my grandfather and like all of my mother's side of the root, they're all Minnesota. And so, because
okay.
of our Norwegian heritage,
Yeah.
so my wife always talks about Minnesota nice,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
what they call it apparently, which I'd never heard until I met her.
Yeah.
So it's this like fake nice, and I'm like, no, I think these people are actually just like nice. Like, can you imagine somebody can be nice? Like,
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why there's a lot of people, especially like native New Yorkers, just assume that it's fake. And it's yeah,
what
not
a
that I speak
sad
speak
state
for
of
everybody,
affairs.
but I'm
Yeah.
like, look, we're not all like that. Like we generally, I think, want to see like the best in people and kind of give them that respect and that courtesy, and are kind of like surprised when it's not returned in
Yeah.
places like New York. But once you're here, you kind of used to it, and you're used to how people operate. And again, you kind of see the kindness that is there, maybe underneath
Well, that's what's
an
crazy.
abrasive surface.
I think honestly, like, I mean, no shots at the South. I mean, I grew up in North Carolina, which is, clearly Southern hospitality, right? Like,
Yeah,
but, um, I know a lot of really hypocritical church-going people in the South, let me tell you.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
and a
Well,
lot of really nice people in New York City. So,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
but
So
I
you
will
can't
say, I
judge
think
people by that.
as we progress, and clearly this isn't the main topic of this conversation today, but like I want to leave this in, but it's like I'm finding more and more people in New York City to be flaky, like more than LA folks, which is the ironic situation. Um,
Yeah, right. Because the stereotype,
yeah, the
obviously,
stereotype,
the
you
the
come to
LA
LA,
people,
people are
yeah,
gonna flake and they're
yeah.
like blah blah blah. And now the Valley Girl accent is in New York City and it's running rampant and it drives me crazy.
What is going on here?
It's
It's
yeah, if it's like this whole thing and with like the manosphere or whatever you want to call it, where like it's sexy to sound stupid. Like if you sound dumb, men will think you're sexy. And it's like, no,
uh
we don't.
okay,
No,
yeah.
we really don't. Like I'd rather you sound intelligent and not like an idiot. But anyway,
Generally preferable, yeah. It's funny. I mean, people, I don't, and not to say anything about like the industry, but it definitely, as a guy who's not like like the popular guy, certainly in my
I beg
space.
to differ, Blake.
I find this a lot as well. It's kind of there's kind of relationships where, well, what do I need anything from you, or what am I
Mm,
getting out of you, that kind of a
mm.
thing. And I
It's
guess
very LA.
I never think of that about people, like, well, what am I going to get out of you? I come across people that I find genuinely interesting and that I care about, and you build friendships with, and you want to hang out with or have on your podcast or do whatever,
Yeah, same. Yeah.
and but there's this pervasiveness, like just underneath that. It's like, well, I don't know, what do they think of me? Maybe I'm not bringing anything of value to the table with them.
I
So it's
think
like, well, why are you worth my time, kind of
I
a
think
thing.
this is a much larger conversation about
Yeah.
society at
Yeah.
large. And I think
Yeah.
society at large is I was having this discussion the other day via text with my good buddy Grant, and not Grant from IWC, it's a different Grant. uh and it's basically just like how communities, like, yes, this is a community, right? Like the community via podcast, the community via watches and cars and clothes
Yeah.
and blah blah blah. But like
Yeah.
generally speaking, if I walk outside, like depending on where you are in New York, people don't say hi because they got places to be, people to see, you know. Here, it's just like I think ever since COVID, I think people are just like so insular and like don't want to be near you, don't want to talk to you, don't want to say hi. And I'm not speaking of San Diego. I'm speaking kind of everywhere, which is
Yeah.
really sad. And it's like this whole what can I get from you mentality, I think really stems from the fact that we're all trying so hard to be successful because it's so difficult that it's like, well, I'm just looking out for myself. And it's just this pervasive, like selfish nature of I'm like, my friend, and forgive the language because it's not my saying, but my buddy um, came up with this expression years ago about Encinitas, California, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
"Yay, hooray for me, fuck you, welcome to Encinitas." And that's literally how it is. It's like I'm the shit. I don't care about you, but oh, by the way, we're like a surf town and happy go lucky. And it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you're
Yeah.
miserable inside.
Baja California Peninsula, Encinitas?
No, no, no. It's like in San Diego.
It's
Encinita.
oh,
It's
okay, okay.
you're thinking of Ensenada.
Ensenada.
Ensenada, yeah, is
That's
south
right.
of Tijuana. About so it's about 2 hours from here, actually.
Got it.
But yeah, Encinitas is like it's where pro snowboarders go to die. It's like
Okay.
every you retire
All
from
right.
snowboarding and you move to Encinitas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is how
That,
an ex-pro's wife described it to me once.
that sounds about right. That
I
checks
mean, it's an
out.
idyllic place because of the weather and all this stuff. But again, it's kind of
Yeah.
like this, like, hooray for me, you know? And it's like,
Yeah.
all right, cool. But anyway, not,
Yeah.
I mean, this sounds more negative potentially than it is, but it is good dialogue, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, it is something I think about a lot, and then it's something that I
Yeah.
could talk for a long time about. And maybe it is kind of episode for another day where we do kind of a deeper. Maybe we get a few people from a few different areas on, and we talk about this kind of stuff in our experiences, especially how it relates to when we're in kind of this ostensibly kind of very like luxurious kind of space. Even
Yeah.
though I view myself as more of kind of like just a person that's kind of looking for like-minded enthusiasts, and,
Yeah,
and and
totally.
however they approach their hobby is what I find the connection to, rather than the status that that hobby might imbue to
Mm-hmm.
them,
Mm-hmm.
really, which is kind of like a secondary thing. And I feel like that's really only something that has come about maybe more recently with this stuff than
Yeah.
back in the day. When
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
about when I got into this, it was still kind of like a nerdy thing to be into.
Yeah.
The status was not really part of it.
It was about the product.
Yeah, exactly. So and that's kind of what drew me in, and the
Mm-hmm.
conversations that I would have with people and learning about certain watches and their history and the mechanics, all that kind of stuff. It was never, this morning I've gone through a dozen emails from brands about what the thing last night, the Met
Met Gala.
Gala,
Yeah.
the Met Gala thing, and what people were wearing, and like these are real talking point. Like, look at the celebrity that's wearing our watch, and these precious metals, the diamonds, it's all like an artistry and all that kind of stuff. I get it, but
Yeah. It's
the
about the
whole kind
price
of like,
tag.
hey, this like
Yeah.
like look at the status of this brand because we're on these like celebrities' wrists, and nothing against those celebrities or anything like that.
No, no.
Um, it's but it's just kind of like a, I find myself sitting there kind of like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Hmm.
Kind of a thing, like
Right.
I'm not the guy that's going to get on to Instagram live, start, watch spotting on.
Commenting.
And there are people that do that, and then that's fine. That's just not like an element of the space that I've ever really found interesting. And
Hmm.
it's always kind of frankly confused me a little bit.
You're
So,
not switching the deep track to videos of just your face in the corner talking
look,
about
man, if people want my thoughts on a lot of that stuff, then maybe that's a difference.
Yeah. Well, here's a question because honestly, and this is I should know the answer to this given what I do, but what was the theme this year of the Met Gala?
It was my wife was telling me art as express like literal like art as it's expressed through clothing. That
Okay.
sounds like super broad. I think there's more like
Right. Okay. Okay.
there's something specific to it, but I think it has to do with some kind of because I think some people had like paint like hand painted scenes on the I don't know stuff like that, and
Okay.
obviously when I think of like kind of bespoke clothing, it's all of course it's an artwork just
Yeah.
like anything else. So
More in the
um
construction and less of the appearance, I guess.
well, I think it was bridging that gap, like the
But
theme
this is the
this
more
year.
the appearance, I think.
Yeah.
So like yeah, what you need to do to get there. But I saw the headline on Business of Fashion. It was like the loudest Met Gala ever or something like that. But I wasn't sure what loud meant. And I didn't have time to read the article, but it was
And
anyway,
if
I
you're
was just
anything like
curious.
me, you don't have the like memory of the history of watching the last 20 of these things or whatever.
Yeah, I remember
Right.
one was like camp, and I think that was either last year or maybe 2 years ago. It was called camp, and like I don't know, I think it's great as a spectacle, and I think it's kind of fun to do that as an onlooker. But like, I mean, a lot of that stuff is serious. Like my friend Charles, he owns Harbison Studio. He dresses celebrities all the time. Like he's dressed Beyonce. He was like the third guest on my podcast actually, and
Oh, cool.
he's one of my best friends. Like literally, I've known him since 27 years now, and he's killing it. But bespoke gowns, wedding stuff. So he's been there all weekend. In fact, I was in LA on Friday doing some work stuff, and I was like, "Hey man, let's grab lunch." He's like, "I'll be in New York. It's Met Gala weekend," and I was like, "Oh wow, okay,
Met Gala
yep,
weekend.
that's
Yeah.
that's where you belong."
It's the big times.
Yeah, fashion at its at in like with a capital F, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, speaking of stuff and watches and that product category, what was a standout for you this year? Where say two, three watches that like either A, you thought were impressive or B, you'd be interested in buying, budget aside.
Yeah. Obviously it was a bummer to miss this year.
Yeah.
And this is the first one that I've missed. And yeah, I don't know if you can see the
Yeah. Blake
the
Blake had a,
scar
a
line on
small
my neck.
procedure on his neck, so he
Yeah.
he couldn't go to Watches and Wonders for those
Yeah.
listening.
So I'm just kind of coming kind of back into where I can be seen in public, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny though. It's because it's afforded me, I think, kind of a unique position to take in the show in a way that I haven't before, and really kind
Hmm.
of appreciate these things in so far as I can take the time to digest them a little bit more than thinking about and stressing about my, where do I gotta be? What's this next event? I
Right.
gotta write about this. Yeah, and honestly, it's weird. It's like one of those things, and it was like this back at Basel too. Like you're there and doing this all day, looking at all these things, but you have very little time to really think about what you're looking at. So sometimes it's weeks later or months later that a watch will stand out to you as like,
Interesting.
oh, you know what, that was really cool. Or a watch will just kind of sit in the back of your head, and you don't really
Hmm.
realize it until like kind of later in time. I think because it's kind of like a rush to get the hypey stuff and the Rolex, the Tudor, and like the big
Hmm.
stuff kind of out in even those watches. It's hard to really kind of take in and think about what they mean.
Hmm.
But this year it was a little bit different, so I was able to kind of take it at my own pace and kind of see things uh, at my own pace, which was great. And at first I was kind of like, this is probably a good year for me to miss because it didn't seem like there was any huge fireworks there that were released. But as I always come back and say, there's a lot of good stuff kind of like hidden in the
Hmm.
cracks if you
Hmm.
know where to look. And
Yep.
I don't mean that as like disrespectful to brands that like
No, no,
some
no,
of them
no.
are like living in the cracks, but the ones that aren't like everyone's got to rush to get this or what did Rolex do or
The
like forget
sleepers
about
are
all that.
sometimes the best ones. I mean,
Like
that's,
and they always that always ends up being the case, I think.
yeah. They're the
So
most wearable usually.
yeah, it's so this year I think there was a few really cool watches that I liked. I first want to give a shout out to Jaeger-LeCoultre, their
Mm,
new Master Control chronometer collection, which is
unbelievable.
like an integrated bracelet, kind of sporty,
Yep.
right? Like it's not like
Yep.
full formal wear, but maybe not like as sporty as like an ingenieur,
But in the
but
rose gold, you could definitely dress it up.
for sure, for sure. But look at Ingenieur does precious metals as well, and I think that this is a watch that if I was thinking about like a perpetual calendar Ingenieur, this is a watch I'd be looking at the
Oh,
perpetual calendar version of
for
it
the
because it's
size alone.
about the same price.
Yeah.
It's like 9 millimeters thick, integrated. I mean, it's like and again, nothing against IWC. This is a far more impressive package to me as a whole,
I
and
can't
to
wait
see like
to share with you. I'm recording with Christian Canoop tomorrow morning.
look, and this is like I would say this exact same stuff to
This is
Christian.
what I want to talk to him about.
I would say the same thing to Christian Canute, but like to me, this like puts a stark contrast in how they're positioning that watch,
Mhm.
and I think Jaeger-LeCoultre killed it with this thing. It's fantastic, and it
Totally agree.
becomes like a decent looking value proposition,
Yeah.
like compared to other watches like this that are kind of like out there on the scene right now. And there's a few different configurations, of course. There's the three hander, and then but the perpetual counter in particular, I think looks really incredible. It's a great little package that they've
It's
got
unbelievable.
there, and it's Jaeger-LeCoultre, right?
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
that's this is the kind of stuff that I expect, that I'd like to see from them. So uh, I mean, that said, like I still liked the new Ingenieurs as well, like the titanium perpetual counter, awesome.
So cool.
To me, it's great, and that kind of pushes into another kind of area of like subverting expectations for what we think about generally when we think about perpetual calendar watches. And IWC has been good at this for a long time and
Hmm.
putting these kinds of movements into kind of like big sporty watches. But I like that they did it with the full titanium execution and the kind of full blade gray and black. It looks fantastic. It's a
What are
different
your
vibe, but I like it.
um before I forget to ask this question because I want to continue down that path on IWC for sure, but because you weren't physically there, as far as the reporting goes, let's call it, how do you feel it compare? Because usually if you're there, you're touching, feeling, holding, trying on, really looking at the depth of the dials and stuff. You've sadly this year you've been relegated to photography effectively, unless brands sent you watches to take a peek at, which they may have.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that positioning of like looking at this stuff based on photos versus real life in
It's
action?
it's tough. It always puts you at a disadvantage, right?
Mm,
And there are always qualities that I find in watches that don't come through in the pictures. Now,
100%.
this is not, my first or second year doing like I've been doing this a long
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
time and I've,
Long
I've
time.
seen a lot of watches. I've handled a lot of watches from these brands. I can generally get a sense, I think now of what some of these watches will probably be like or like Parmigiani, the
Mm,
chronograph that hides behind. They've done a
crazy.
number of those. I've handled pretty much every other Tonda PF in the line. I have a pretty good sense of what that is going to be like.
Yep.
That Jaeger-LeCoultre that I was just talking about, that's like a totally new silhouette from them. So that
100%.
I've handled plenty of Jaeger-LeCoultre watches. It's a brand that I really love. This though, I have less of like in this
Mhm.
one, this is the kind of watch that like how the bracelet maybe feels in your hand. Like that's the kind of thing that can make or break a watch like this to me. And I have no,
Yeah.
I can't speak to it intelligently, obviously. So,
Well, I've
um,
tried it on. I didn't have an appointment at JLC, so I couldn't try it on at the show, but they did have the rose gold perpetual on Rodeo Drive
oh, nice.
a
Yeah.
couple weeks ago when I was there. And so I tried it on, but of course, you can't size the bracelet just for me. So it's like
Yeah.
it's one of those where it's hanging off my wrist, but I'm trying
Yeah.
to get a feel for it. Not that I'm in the market, but at least it's closer than a photo, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And even running your fingers through kind of how they move, how they articulate,
Yeah.
you know, you can get a real good sense for that kind of thing. So
Hmm.
yeah, It's one of those watches I wasn't quite sure how I felt about it when I first saw the pictures of it,
Hmm.
but the more that I kind of think about it, the more I like it a lot, and hopefully I'll be able to see it here soon in the coming week or so. I mean, I have seen some of the watches prior to the show. I do get invited to things here in New York for preview events type stuff,
Yeah.
and I have a lot of stuff written before the show goes live. So I had a lot of content prepared before, prior to the show this year. Some of it went
Yeah.
live on the Deep Track, some of it went live on Hodinkee, uh, and uh,
Yeah, I
and,
saw
and
that
the,
that you're is that kind of another recent sort of new when was the last time prior to this year, when was the last time you wrote for Hodinkee?
it's been a while,
Yeah.
honestly,
I
and it's
was I
something
was
that
proud to see your name up there, man.
yeah, it's obviously I've been friends with those guys
Yeah.
behind the scenes for forever,
Ages. Yeah.
and we see each other often. We have good relationships, and it's something that I've come close to a number of times over the past few years. That just has never quite kind of worked out for one reason or another, timing wise or whatever.
Now, is that
Um,
James reaching out to you to lean on you,
yeah,
or
so
what was that?
this year, I mean, it has been, both Ben and James will talk to me about this kind of stuff over the years, and
Awesome.
but this year, yeah, James was and it just, I mean, if I was gonna be at the show, it probably would have been a different
Yeah.
story, but it worked out well this year that I was like, okay, I'll take the time to do this and
Hmm.
kind of get back on get my name back in the pages of of Hodinkee for the first time in a while, which felt great.
Yeah, it's great.
Um, but there's some other places that I was hoping to be able to help out as well, that I help out from time to time because I'm friends with their editors, and we have good relationships. I like to help out, but I just couldn't. Actually, the day that I got kind of fully closed up from my surgery was the Monday that the show started.
Yeah.
It was that afternoon. So I told people like I can't commit to anything on this day
Yeah.
because I have no idea what my situation is going to be like. So really it came down to like, when like the Rolex embargo dropped at 6 o'clock here in New York that evening, and I'm kind of like stiff as a board. I can hardly do anything. I managed to kind of write one thing, which was still kind of like painful for me. But I managed to get something up about the Daytona that
Right.
released
Okay.
there.
I did not read that, full disclosure.
That's
What
fine.
what
I
but
don't have
I
that expectation of you.
what's the TLDR
So a
from your
mix of
point of
a
view?
mix of platinum and steel, very very little platinum, and they are using an
No, I mean your
grand.
take, your take. I mean, I'm familiar with the watch, but I
Yeah, so my take is like, look, let me state, like, I'm a fan of the Daytona. I've owned a bunch of them. I've usually always have one in my rotation. It's a watch that I've long been fascinated by, and it's a
yeah,
watch that I really enjoy reading about the history about. I would never call myself an expert of anything, but it's probably one of the watches that I've read the most about, and I still learn new things about it all the time. It's history.
sure.
That's part of why I like it.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, this one I feel it was strange because it felt like kind of a usually they have a pretty good explanation for why they make certain decisions. A few years ago when they came out with the new generation of Daytona and it had the metal ring around the bezel, and
Hmm.
I asked them in my meeting, what's going on here, and of course there is the aesthetic explanation of it kind of adjusting the proportion of the size of the bezel to the rings on the inner part of the dial, but it was also providing a level of protection because it's a ceramic
Right.
piece
You
that's
don't want
that's in
it to
there.
crack.
So when it's lined with that, it's providing some
Like
protection.
structural
And
support. Yeah.
yeah, so they've got like generally like they think about on that level of, even if sometimes you might be like, I don't know about that, but at least think about
They think
presenting it.
about their explanation.
Yeah, so they think about like, look, okay, there is an explanation behind this.
Yeah.
With this one, uh, I wasn't there to ask about it, so I don't know. But to me, I would have been like, why do this? Why with the platinum here? What is it bringing to the watch? And from a functional standpoint, from an aesthetic standpoint, like what's your reasoning for putting the little bits of platinum into this, or is it purely it just makes it special? Kind of a thing, and it would be the same with the quote unquote grand fou dial that they did on it. Like it, you know, interesting. I never really thought of the Daytona as that kind of a watch to explore that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
With outside of the kind of high level gem set crazy stuff, fine, go nuts.
Yeah.
But for this kind of a thing that just kind of presents outwardly as a very straightforward, albino Daytona,
Yeah.
which I think is cool. Some decisions that are certainly interesting that I would have loved to have asked about
Yeah.
were I sitting in the room with them.
Right. I'm in probably a very small, tiny minority, and then maybe even a party of one. But those enamel dials, like those shine, they look cheap to me. Like there's like an aesthetic where it just does not look expensive. It looks cheap. It looks like plastic.
You know,
Like,
it's funny that you say that. I don't think you're alone there. I think that, and I don't think that specific material
mhm,
is the only culprit of being like that. And I think this is more of a discussion nowadays that brands are kind of using their own bespoke materials, that
mhm,
their own alloys, their own mixtures, their own composites, and they might give them sexy names, and when they explain them, it sounds super high tech, and wow,
mhm.
that's cool. And then you feel it in your hand, and it kind of, well, it feels a little plasticky, or it feels a little light, and
Yeah.
it feels like a little underwhelming, and it kind of feels like they valued their ability to like name it their own specific thing and
Mhm.
to tout this high tech process that they built it more so than they valued the actual in
Like the
hand
execution. Yeah.
experience of it. And like, well, what is it going to feel like when somebody picks it up and holds it
Yeah.
and touches it and wears it all day, and why is it, whatever, all the little tactile things that
Hmm.
we notice when we pick up watches.
Hmm.
I think that still has to hit,
Yeah. Well,
it could be the coolest name in the world, the coolest alloy, the coolest mix, whatever. If it
totally.
doesn't hit in the end of the day, then why, why
Why do it?
why do it?
And that's the thing is that like that doesn't mean that like all shiny dials look cheap to me because like if you look at some of these vintage glossy dials of like, the vintage Submariners and like some of those with like some of them had like spider cracks in them and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like those look great. Like those glossy dials look great. But for whatever reason, those like enamel, porcelain, whatever you want to call it, like there's just like a I don't know. It's like certain colors look cheap to me. Like if
Mm,
like if you don't hit the color just right, like certain shades of XYZ color just look less expensive than other shades of color.
yeah.
It's so hard to explain. It's such an emotional, like knee jerk, like how it makes me feel, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I can't really articulate it.
Well, I feel like that should be part of it. Like it should make you feel a certain way.
Yeah,
And to me,
100%.
that's the artistry of it. Like when I think of like, hand enameling dials, I think of like the artistry that goes into it. And I generally think of like, mosaics that are
Well,
that are
yeah.
done as sort of
Well, like the
beautiful,
world times from Paddock, like
gorgeous,
get
right?
out of here.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And when I see them and they're just like a single color, like white, I mean,
Underwhelming.
yeah, I don't know. It's maybe, yeah, it's just maybe not. But that's not like generally why watches appeal to me in the first
Hmm.
place, is
Hmm.
for they're just kind of like
Yeah.
as a piece of art.
Right. Right.
Even though I like watches for their aesthetic, all that kind of stuff, but I generally kind of like watches that are more utilitarian in
Utility.
purpose.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and again, still Rolex in my mind is kind of like making Toyota Tacomas, like things that you can bang on and are going to last a million years,
Yep.
and that is the appeal to me.
And the
Not
resale value are great on a Tacoma.
exactly, but
You
it's
know,
because of that because it has a reputation for, like, for being bulletproof
for
and
being
for all
good.
that kind of stuff. Yeah,
Yep.
and I know that they're not that anymore.
Hmm.
They're very much something else. But I also like to kind of think that they, even underneath that, they still are, like, they
Yeah.
still can be that. Uh,
Yeah.
when I see them making decisions without a proper practical explanation,
Hmm.
then it makes me feel like they are maybe removing themselves a little bit further from that, in my mind, at least. I don't know.
And I made a mistake. I recorded with Christian on Friday, not tomorrow. But that's okay.
You
This will
gotta you
come.
gotta keep drilling them about the aqua timer, by the way. Every time I see him, I have a conversation about
Okay.
it.
So let, what did you, how do you feel about IWC's year this year? Oh, big
Um,
picture.
Look, the venture vertical whatever thing, I think it's pretty cool. Like, look,
Yeah, I agree.
I like the like design language that they introduced because it's like a totally new thing. You know, the
Mhm.
packaging of it is whatever, right? It's this big gigantic thing. What, but at least it establishes a precedent for design language that I think they could use in really interesting ways. And the crownless design, all really cool stuff. You know, like bring it on. You know, show me this kind of stuff, but in the form of like a Mark 20 pilot watch or something. You know,
Hmm.
I like that, and I like it feels weird, it feels funky, and I haven't seen IWC feel weird and funky for a long time. So I
Is
like
that
that
good or
they
bad?
that's good for me because I
Yeah,
like, you know, weird, funky 90s IWC type stuff.
sure.
Like I want more of that kind of stuff. In this was the first kind of watch that gave me that kind of inkling in a long time
Hmm.
from the brand. You know, the rest, it certainly feels like, you know, like the Pro Set perpetual calendars, which I know they made kind of a big deal out of, which is really just kind of gives you the ability to
Go forwards and
go
backwards.
forwards and backwards with how you set it. And I'll be honest with you, let me clarify. I do not own a perpetual calendar.
Right.
Uh, that's generally when I think about perpetual calendars, kind of like the last thing that's on my mind. Um, I know that some of them have the pushers in the case, and to me that doesn't bother me. You know, if it's not something that I need to be adjusting often, then put the pusher in the case. I don't really care. To
Mm,
me, I'm more concerned with how's the overall packaging of this watch
yeah.
and how does it feel on my wrist.
Hmm.
And that's where you get back to that JLC that we were talking about earlier. It has some pushers in the case. Maybe I'll have to use them a few times a year. I don't know. But other than that, like what I would notice every single day, every time I put the watch on,
Is how
is
it feels.
the packaging. Yeah, it's how it's going to feel on my wrist. And like to me, that's like they could have taken the energy of developing the mechanics for allowing you to set it all through the crown forward and backward, and maybe put that energy into making an integrated perpetual calendar movement.
Hmm.
Put some pushers on it. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Then that would have been more impressive to me,
Hmm.
and then more befitting of them, like saying, look, we are raising our prices on all these things because we are making more premium watches.
Yeah.
Then okay, well, the proof is in the pudding there. Where are your more premium watches? You can't just keep putting, you know, these great modules on different movements. And again, no shade on doing that or anything. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But if you're going to
Right.
position yourself and price it in a way that's like, hey, we are moving up the ladder, you know, then like I don't
It
know,
can't
I
just
don't
be
buy it.
margin. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't buy it as much, you know, and that's why I feel like they've gotten themselves in a weird position here because they didn't they didn't do the GMT ingenieur, they didn't do the chronograph ingenieur. And when you look at like how the pricing structure of the ingenieur is laid out, I don't know where those watches would fit in because they would be like $25,000 watches.
Hmm.
And I don't think that's palatable at all right now because the
No.
prices of the ingenieur have risen, you know, to the mid teens, high teens, and now if you do, you know, everything that we saw this year, you know, it's high complication, the tourbillons, the perpetual calendars. Like there's no space for you know, a $15,000 chronograph,
Right.
which is what I think it would need to be. They just can't do it. It would have to be like $24,000 if they did a chronograph version
Yeah.
of the
Because you
watch.
can't, yeah, you
And who's gonna buy that?
you can't cannibalize the time only or time date, at 14 grand, 13 grand with a $15,000 chronograph, you
Yeah,
know.
but you also have, you know, $8,000 chronographs in your pilot collection. It becomes like, and I know the bracelet and the construction, all that kind of stuff. I get it. Like it's
Sure.
not easy to manufacture, and it necessitates that premium pricing. I get it, but uh, but I think a lot of people were surprised that we didn't see those watches, and I think that's why because they had no place to put them in like the like the pricing.
That's funny because I
Of
haven't heard anybody bring up a non-Genor chronograph, so that's interesting. I think, well, the thing is interesting to me, not only just from a pricing standpoint, but I brought this up on the pit stop, which I just launched through Substack today, but it's just the function of the size, right? Like the Pro set, big pilot, but it's 42 millimeters, so it doesn't. You've got a 41 millimeter, right? I think is the Angenieur, isn't that
the
41
engineer is 41. The
perpetual?
perpetual
Yeah.
calendar is,
And
yeah.
then you've got a 42 perpetual in the Pro set, and then you've got a 44 perpetual in the on Portugueser, and
Yeah.
then you've got a 46 perpetual in the big pilot again. It's like,
Yeah,
right?
I
Isn't
feel
the big
like
pilot
I f-
perpetual 46 or
I
is that
feel like
44?
that's more of a function of like the collection itself, right? Of and they make sporty, complicated watches, right? Like that's what they are in the business of doing.
But why not do the Pro Set? Because really, that the sales function of the Pro Set is the innovation of forward and backward, right? Would you gather?
Yes, but they didn't
So
bring it
why
to
not?
all. They only left it in the in
But
that.
this is what I'm going with this is not only did they not utilize it in all the other perpetuals they've done before,
Yeah,
including the titanium that was just released, right? Like that
yeah,
can't go forward
yeah.
and
They
backwards.
released it alongside other perpetual counters
This
of
is
the
where I'm
previous
like,
design.
what are we doing? And it's a different size. So now it's like you've got 4 or 5 different sizes of perpetuals, but only the good movement in one size, right?
Yeah, I
What say
it's
you?
interesting, and I think like, well, is it meant to replace the other perpetual counter movements, or is
I
something
don't know
else in the
why it
cards
wouldn't,
for them?
you know?
And maybe it is a production, like, well, we can only produce X amount of these, so we can
Sure.
only make enough to fulfill the demand for this collection,
Right.
or whatever it is. I don't know how many people are buying, 40, $50,000, especially if the market's like huge for it. But I think
Hmm.
enough people are buying them apparently. And
I think the
uh,
price of it is actually quite compelling. I mean, it's 38 grand on steel on bracelet, right?
yeah,
Where like
yeah,
that's not
that's not a totally
bad.
out of whack for
Yeah.
me. And that's the benefit of doing the module. But again, when you look at like the JLC, that's like 44, and that's 9 millimeters thick. It's a fully integrated, it's within shouting distance, and it's like
Well,
just
more importantly, and
far more.
I brought this up on the pit stop, right? Is that not only is it in shouting distance, it's under the same umbrella. So
And it's under the same. Yeah.
if you have a Breitling Tudor situation with like the JLC IWC Richemont bridge, why are we not talking to each other?
It does seem strange, but I think that like the JLCs and like up, like so on up to Longos of the world and that kind of stuff that are all in under Rishma
Yeah,
are kind of more playing in their own world, right?
right. They
Whereas
don't
like,
want the
but like
partnership.
if you're like a Panerai, or then it's more kind of like, okay, we might be utilizing the same manufacturing facilities
I see.
in Val Fourier, and so there you're maybe more seeing some crossover happen.
So it's really about price point if you think about it, and just brand perception. Like,
I think that's the conundrum that they currently
yeah.
find themselves, or will. But I know that a lot of people that are, you quote unquote, your average kind of watch enthusiasts are. I've been kind of up in arms over the prices of some of this stuff for a long time,
Hmm.
and for good reason. But when IWC have established this kind of like, okay, well, this is like kind of the trend. This is how much these things cost.
Hmm.
But I think they've kind of backed themselves into a corner a little bit because, for instance, they can't, again, a chronograph ingenieur, they can't release for 25 grand because it would just seem ridiculously out of whack, right?
Yeah.
Like the value. But also, I think it's also why we haven't seen an aqua timer, because it's like, okay, we've set these precedents. We're this premium brand. We're doing this stuff, and what do we all want? We all want like a $7,000 aqua timer that's like a refinement of the old design. Like, does that seem like it's in the cards for the brand like right now as it
Yeah.
stands?
I
Like
just don't
I
know.
just don't see it. I just
Well,
can't see
I
them
mean,
doing that.
here's the argument too, is that like the offerings this year, uh, according to some, not me, feel very disjointed, right? Like you've got La Petite Prince, you've got these Ingenieurs, you've got the Space Watch. Like, was
Yeah.
it 2 years ago or 3 years ago when the Portuguese line came back and it was like the black dial, like obsidian dial with like the or like black color with the gold, and when they released all the new that
That was two
blue
years ago.
dials
That
and
was
yeah,
two
two
years
years
ago.
ago. And so this year didn't feel like a collection year or a family year. It felt
Yeah.
like we got a bunch of watches and
Yeah.
we're just going to release them all. And to some degree I feel like, was this like a collection you wanted to do before and it took longer, so now they're ready, so now you just got to release it in the case of, the Petite Prince, or like, or is it, oh, we made these faster than we thought we could, so let's release them now and get them out of the way? Like,
Yeah.
I just
Look.
don't know. Like, there's just a lot of product.
I think they're like business decisions being made that maybe like to a normal enthusiast might not make sense, but I always relate this back to like BMW going from the three, the five, the seven to the one, two, three, four, five, to like plugging all these gaps so that they have a car for every consumer in the range.
Yeah.
And when I see a brand drop just a whole mess of watches, I get that same feeling like, well,
Mhm.
what's this consumer going to buy? What's this consumer? So they release kind of a watch for all the consumers they could possibly hit, you
Mhm.
know. I'd have to look at closer, kind of like the pricing. Like, are they all kind of priced in similar realms? I don't know. Like, are they kind of
Well,
competing with themselves by offering so much choice? Like, if I'm a guy, I'm like, look, I love IWC. I've got 20 grand to spend, and you look at all the releases, and you're kind of like, I don't know. There's too many great options, or something like that.
mhm.
It's whereas like 3 years ago when the Ingenieur came out, like it was just those watches, and it was a super focused, and it was great. Like you understood, and like it told like a great story and whatever your thoughts on the price, so be it. They couldn't
Sure.
quite get the watch into the market fast enough. You remember it was like later that year,
Yeah,
early the
bracelet
prior year that it
production and
finally
yep.
exactly. So, you know, this year now it's kind of like all over the map, and but like the watches are in the market like immediately. So that's what tells me like okay, they've got maybe a little something for everyone.
But like what compels you to buy a La Petite Prince 41 millimeter chronograph over the regular blue dial 41 millimeter chronograph aside from rose gold hands? The blues aren't terribly different. I mean, yes, it's darker, but like
This is
what's
the
the
little
selling
these are
point?
this is the little nuance, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a slightly different aesthetic.
Yeah.
Is it functionally hitting anything new? Like no, but
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, that also like it could play against them because if you like them both, are you just gonna like not buy either? Because you're
Well,
gonna
that's
sit
the
there
thing
going,
is
well, I
like,
don't
yeah,
know. I
analysis
like them both.
paralysis. Yeah.
So I'm gonna like sit and just wait it out.
Yeah.
And see,
Well,
and I think if you get a consumer that says that, then you're at risk of losing them entirely. Because the more they sit and think about it, then the more it's like, do I really need to watch it all? Or whatever, a million more practical things can come into your mind.
sure.
But if you got them on the hook like right now, like, ooh,
Yeah.
love that. I'm in. I'm buy it. I'm calling the place up. I'm putting my
Yeah.
deposit down. I'm in. But
I mean, I will say, like, okay, so let me back up for a few things because, like, starting like in January, for some reason, the perpetual calendar bug bit me. Like, I've been obsessed with perpetual calendars this year, just like as an onlooker and consumption of
well,
like
then I want to hear
media.
your thoughts on the
Well,
process.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, here's where I'm going with this is because, like, but I always associate a perpetual calendar as like somewhat of a dressy thing,
Yeah.
right? Like it's Patek 3940 or was it 5140, 5140, I think was the follow-up to that at 37 millimeters, whatever. I think of Patek. I think of JLC to a certain degree, and
Hmm.
especially with the new Master Control. But as a caveat to the Master Control, I also envision a perpetual always being on a strap, never a bracelet. So, like even with the Portugueser, the Big Pilot, those are all strap watches, right?
Hmm.
On perpetuals.
Yeah.
Now we have a bracelet one, and I'm obsessed with it. And it doesn't actually wear that much different than a 41 millimeter chronograph. Is it
Yeah.
literally bigger? Yes. Is it noticeably bigger? Only when you do them back to back. And
Yeah.
I've done that in the London boutique right after Watches and Wonders. I went to IWC, they had both. I went on back to back to back to back. And part of the reason I think about this, not that I have 38 grand to throw at a watch right now, but I don't even have 9 grand to throw at a watch right now. So even the 41 millimeter chronograph on bracelets out of the question after tax, you know. So,
Yeah.
but the whole reason I started doing this, Blake, is because even before Watches and Wonders, before I knew about the Pro set, when I went through my consolidation to buy my Longa
Hmm.
one of the watches I sold was a 41 millimeter chronograph on bracelet blue dial. It's the only watch of the six that I miss.
Oh,
And
interesting. Okay.
I can't explain it. Don't
Hmm.
know why. It has nothing to, I don't know if it's the blue dial. It feels very summery. So not to mention my Substack for a third time on this conversation, but it is an article I want to write soon is like the case for a summer watch. And like that really felt like a summer watch to me. And I really like that it's a little bigger. Not because it's an IWC, but because it's like, I think part of the case for a summer watch is that it's big, it's sporty, it's chunky, you can abuse it, you can swim in
Yeah.
it. So anyway, But then I started thinking, oh, well, the Pro set would be another one. But I'm like, wait, well, stop, Wesley, because that's like
Yeah.
5x the cost, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so it's out of the question. But I will say I love, love, love the watch. I really do. I think it's the perfect shade of blue. I will say on the 41 millimeter chronograph, I do like that touch of red in the seconds hand at
Mm.
6 o'clock. Like, I think
Yeah.
that's a nice little touch. We're talking about artistry and design and things of that nature. Like, that touch of red just does it for me. Um, but the Pro set's incredible. And again, for $38,000 for a perpetual calendar on bracelet, like, there's not another one in the market. There's just not.
It's a
Um,
sharp watch too.
but the thing about pricing, I saw something. I was watching a YouTube video yesterday, and I think you made it earlier, the point of people complaining about pricing, and things are getting more expensive. The first thing that came to my mind yesterday afternoon watching that YouTube video was pricing on cars goes up every single year, and no one says
Yeah.
anything. Every single year, cars get more expensive. Now, oh, but they have new technology, Wesley. Yeah, but their materials used are shit. Like,
Yeah.
everything inside of a Volkswagen now is plastic, like terrible plastic.
And touchscreens are cheaper, right?
Well,
Because
this
it's
is what I'm
just
saying. It's like, and the
software. Yeah.
prices are going up, the quality is going down. Granted, the safety quality is not. I mean, obviously, the safety measures
Yeah.
are better and better because that's engineering, that's technology, that's understanding and learning, right? Um, but like, no one talks about the prices of cars going up every year, and the prices of cars are insane right now.
Yeah. It's interesting. I was thinking about this uh as well with it within because it's I think good to kind of look at these other enthusiast spaces
Yeah,
to see what the discourse is.
right. What's
And
the parallel, you know?
yeah, another one that is kind of tangential to my radar
Hmm.
is video games. With the release of Grand Theft Auto 6 on the
Okay.
horizon
This
later
is
this
not
year.
my bag, but go ahead.
Well, listen, like it's there's a lot of consternation around it potentially being priced at $100, right? I don't know if it's going to be priced at that or not, but it got me thinking that in looking back, that video games have kind of been priced at this like $60 mark for like decades,
Well, and
and
they're no
and
longer played by masses of children. They're like, these are adult
they're played
men with
by
jobs.
grown adults, and these are people that will spend hundreds of hours playing it. And when I think
Yeah,
about the value breakdown of that, I'm like, that's insane to me that video game that they don't charge like $500 for video or
that's
something.
what
Yeah,
I'm
I don't know,
saying.
whatever.
Yeah.
But like when you think about the time that's put into them, and they're these high production things, they tell these great stories. But that's one thing that the consumer hasn't let the price change. Um, and people still like get up in arms when the game is
I
over.
think that's an industry fear thing. Like,
Yeah,
I think
it's
the industry at large is probably afraid they won't be able to sell it.
like because they need volume, right? And
I
so
I think they just need to get over their fear. Just do it. Charge
yeah.
$90 then.
Look, I'm glad they don't I don't want them, but when I think about what the product is and how many hours of entertainment, like if you go to a movie, with your friend, with your wife, with your kid, you're in 60, 70, $80. You get some popcorn or
I
drinks
was just about to say, you go to
easily.
dinner, it's
This is
well
like,
over a hundred
this is like
bucks.
3 hours. And when I think about, oh, if I have video game, I might play it for like years, for 1,000 hours, for less money than I paid for the for the movie out for. It's crazy, but yeah, like cars, and look at just to get back to the engineer, I want to make one more point on it because
Yeah,
when it
please.
first came out in 2023, and the pricing was 11.9, I think it was, like when it very first came out, and
Yes.
there was some like people up in arms like you're absolutely insane, charging this. And the last integrated engineer that had come out was 2013, and I think its price point was like $6,500 or something like that.
Okay.
But if you adjust that for inflation, it was like right up close to 10 or something like that. So in reality, the
It's
price
not that
bump,
far apart.
not far apart at all. And if you compare the bracelets of the two, it's like night and day, like how
Yeah, the
much better
construction's
engineered
probably better. Yeah.
the new
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
like it's insane.
But it's the
And
movement argument that people always go
people
to.
get caught up in the movement argument. I know.
Right.
It's and that's obviously like a whole other discussion, right? But it's and now the engineer price, the base price has gone kind of, and now it's 12.7.
Hmm.
Like it's $1,000 more or something like that. And I really think it has put them in like this a tricky position, you know. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of brands are maybe in the same spot. Maybe they were like riding high after like the COVID years, and they could release stuff and people were buying it and all that kind of. And now they have to like kind of make high end watches because the people that are buying stuff are the VVVIC people, right? So you look at a lot of
If you're
brands.
buying an Audi Q5, you're getting a 2-liter turbo. It's the same engine in the GTI. Like,
Yeah.
what are we talking about here? Like,
But
and
if they can market it to a higher end buyer, then that higher end buyer is not going to bitch about that, right?
right, right. And so the other thing is like, yeah, and if you're hung up on like, well, this is a $3,000 movement, like, what do you? Who cares? It's still keeping time. Like, if you're in search of better timekeeping, then go buy a tourbillon,
They,
right?
they
And
could
it's
they
like
could
spend 100x.
they could put a at a 2824 in it for all I care, and I'd be like,
Well, that's it.
great,
It's just
like
such a lousy
like do it.
complaint. Yeah.
And if they want to do that, and that's a rock solid bulletproof movement,
Hmm.
and chop a couple $1,000 off the price, fantastic. I like we're not in a place that you can do that anymore because people demand. Well, it's got to be, it's got to be in house. It's got to be of a certain like pedigree and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But they don't really understand like that it's really hard to make a better movement than something like a 2824 or a SW300 or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
but it's like IWC or Zenith or whatever. Like they can't just put one of those movements in their watches
No,
anymore
no.
because they've already crossed that bridge. You know, as much as I would love to see like a new Aquatimer come out with an SW300 priced at $6,000 or something with like some trick case and I don't know whatever it is,
Yeah,
and
whatever it is.
I'd be over the moon if that happened. But they cannot do that
Yeah.
uh, anymore, and that sucks.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so what are your thoughts on the 35 millimeter
Dude,
Angelo?
I like the 35 a lot. And it's if I didn't already own a 40 millimeter, then I like that's probably the one that I would go for, especially now that that like navy blue dial is in there. Is
I
sharp.
haven't tried on the Navy one, but Stephen Pulverman posted a photo the other day and it looks killer on his wrist. Now, he and I probably have similar sized wrists. His might be, I don't know, an eighth of an inch smaller than mine or something.
Yeah,
They're the same size wrist, I'm sure, roughly.
yeah.
It looks great in photos. I wonder if it just feels slightly dainty. Like
See, I
again,
think
I
it's
hate
thick
to be
enough.
like the
It's
three
thick
bears
enough.
here, like the
I know. You do wonder where's the 37 or
yeah,
something,
well, I
right?
mean it's just or like make it yeah, like 33, 37, 40, or I don't know. I just it's
I will say, like because of the
the brand
integration.
can't win. Like, they just can't.
Look, people that pay attention, the people that are passionate, people that love it, they're the first ones that are going to jump in and point the things out, right?
Of
And
course,
it's not
yeah.
because we hate the brand or what, like
You're
it's.
just emotional about it.
And it's honestly, it's the same with like with Tudor, and I
Mm-hmm.
nitpick every little
Oh
thing
God.
that they
Yeah.
do,
Yep.
and I own a handful of them,
Mm-hmm.
and I love wearing them. I write reviews, I've written reviews that have probably sold a ton of their watches over the course of the years,
Sure.
and proudly so. And I stand on everything that I've said about them. But yeah, every year it comes around, and I find like, wow, why didn't they just do this? Why didn't they just do that?
Mm-hmm.
And I talked about this on a podcast or two ago. Is it unfair to for us to kind of project our expectations on them where uh like we will never be pleased if we do that. And so maybe like we take the wrong approach if we do that.
Oh, dude, you
And
you know how often I hear, you know what you should do for standard age? You should make this. I hear this all the time. You know what
yeah,
you should do? And I'm like, last time I listened to that, it didn't sell.
yeah. Yeah, you
And
got to do things that you're comfortable with, and that
sure,
that are like how you identify. And
that's
I'm the
exactly what
same way.
Rolex and Tudor does.
And it seems to be working out just fine for them, and
I'll say.
and if as long as they know their identity and under like have that kind of long view picture of it,
Mhm.
then you can trust that.
Yeah.
For me, it's always yeah, it's the same. I'm not like a hustler guy, so I'm not chasing after whatever to make a set. Not me,
Hmm. Hmm.
like I focus on the content that I make, and if people like it, I figure they know how to, I don't know, show appreciation for that.
Sure.
Um, but it's one of those things where it's like if it builds up over time, if there's like a 5 year stretch where you're kind of like a multitude of decisions are starting to point into a strange direction,
Hmm.
then the people that have been around a while might notice and point that out.
Mhm.
Just like my wife might notice if I had a worrying trajectory of decisions being made, she's more than welcome to speak up. Um, and I'm sure she would, just like your better half, I'm sure.
Yes.
But for the brands, I generally trust that they will come back around and understand and pick up the things that are really constituent pieces of their foundation of their
Hmm.
identity, right?
Hmm.
And they know how to keep those in place. And Tudor and Rolex, I generally like pretty good about that, even if they have years that I'm like, what's going on here? Or, what's this about? Or, you know, I did not care for the new Black Bay 54 that I saw, the
The
like that
blue.
color scheme, that blue that to me it kind of feels like all right, the Black Bay is kind of like losing touch with um with its identity a
What'd you
little
think of
bit.
the ceramic?
The ceramic looks cool to me.
In
I
the
like that.
case, I thought it was titanium.
Oh, really?
Like in the
Yeah.
case, it looked gray. It didn't look as uh
I mean,
charcoal.
the exist because it's a watch that's existed. There was the first one that had the Metis movement, and obviously now they put a bracelet on it, which is great, and the
Hmm.
slightly different dial. That's a cool watch.
Yeah.
I'm personally not like a full murdered out black
Yeah.
watch kind of guy, but it's
Yeah,
it's cool.
same.
Like if I see them, I'm like, that's cool. If it had like pure white markers, I
Okay.
you know I'd
Yeah.
be on board. I think I'd be on board with it. Speaking of, I mean that the tribute to 3705 is still a watch that like sits in the back of my head. I still like that watch a lot. I don't know, maybe someday, but that's black ceramic, black everything, except it has pure white
I mean,
markers.
you know where I stand on that watch.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, why don't they ever do? We haven't seen a tribute watch since then, have we?
Um,
Like they
no.
did a couple in relatively short succession with the Mark 11 tribute to Mark 11,
Yep.
tribute to 3705, and it brought back those awesome square hands.
Yep.
But there hasn't been one since, has there?
Mm-mm.
I don't think so.
They're due.
They are due. They are due.
Yeah.
All right. What was your like kind of standout there? This was your first time there, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
first
Like
time
what was
you're
your
not
like? Give me
mistaken.
the vibe.
Oh my God, man. I mean, first and foremost, it was just so cool to like see all the people I see online in like one place. You're just like,
Yeah, yeah,
oh, there's so and so. Oh, there's so and so. And I got to meet several of my podcast guests in person for the first time, which is
yeah,
a crack up.
yeah,
Adrian Barker was like, no, we've met in person. I was like, no, we haven't. But it feels like you have because Zoom is like we're in the same room. Like you talk
yeah,
long enough, you forget you're on a computer sometimes, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
And so that was great. But as far as like the watches are concerned, I went to Longa, of course. I went to IWC, obviously. I said what I said about the Pro Set. I mean, I think that was the standout watch for me personally.
Hmm.
I'm not a green guy, but that like rose gold green dial Pro Set is like in the flesh, like it's a beautiful piece, man.
It's good stuff.
Um, let's see what else. I went to Oris. They came out with like the Star edition.
Hmm. Yep.
I just recorded with VJ the other day, so we went into some details on that watch. I mean, that's like a one for one. Just talk about retro. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that is vintage.
They're pretty good at retro, and I
Yeah,
think that watch came out great. To
stellar.
me,
Yeah.
the irony of that watch is the story that they told with it was kind of around, them taking their independence back and creativity and being able to use the Swiss lever escapement in the movement after striking down this one statue. To me, it would have been like a perfect opportunity to use their own movement, maybe
Uh,
in it, just because of that. Like, if you're going to
mhm.
associate it with that, then like really go all in.
Keep this story going.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
but I know pricing that's a little tricky, and
Yeah.
size. I don't know because it's like 30. It's like a small watch, so
Yeah, I
I don't
think
know.
it's 35 millimeter.
Yeah,
Um, But Longa, I will say I was really excited about this 36 millimeter annual calendar. Now, granted, we're not talking prices here, like we're just talking execution.
yeah.
It's so good. I went back and forth a couple times on which variation I preferred. I think it was in photos. I was really excited about the gray dial,
Hmm.
pink gold.
Yeah.
And then I
That
saw,
combo can't go wrong in photos. Like it's
yeah, no, it looks beautiful. And then, in the true Longa fashion, those are all sort of renderings. They're not actual live
yeah.
photos. And then you handle them and you're like, oh, wait, but this like silver dial is like super versatile.
Yeah.
It's really clean. And then the more I handled it, Blake, it was like the silver kind of falls flat.
Mm.
Like it in a, I hate to even say that as like, it just like, it's, it's almost so versatile, it's plain. Whereas like the gray and pink climbed right back up the ladder for me. Like
Think
that's
of
the
the
one.
strap. Think of the strap opportunities though on the
Sure. I mean, look,
Argenta
my
dial.
my my Longa one's an Argenta dial, right? Like it is a strap monster, right? And so I
And the
hear you
blue in the moon
in the
phase
moon.
really pops out, right?
Yeah. No, I mean it's gorgeous, but like, good God, that gray. Like, look, you're buying that watch to I would be buying that watch hypothetically, right? For its diversity in my collection.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't want something that's completely universally versatile, right? Like I want it to be different from my other pieces. So I
Nah, I
gotta,
feel you.
you gotta think of the product as one thing, but then how does that product fit into your collection? So here's a tiny little dive into the way I go about, purchasing. I'm always in search of something that's different, which is how I consolidated the blue dial chronograph into my Longa One is
Yeah,
I had repetition because I had the tribute to 3705. How many 41 millimeter chronographs do I need? At one
yeah,
time I owned three,
yeah,
and one
yeah,
of them was the collective horology one, which is like just a silver, it's a 3706 knockoff
yeah.
or not knockoff tribute. Um,
Tribute without the
it's
square hand though. Without the most
without
important part.
yeah, without the square hand. And so like it was just like, all right, well, I need difference. Like, I want to go into the watch box to pick that today, not
Yeah,
to have indecision about, oh, but if I wear that one, I'm liable to wear a black t-shirt, and if I wear that one, I'm liable to wear a blue t-shirt, and I don't feel like wearing blue today, so I guess I got to do the black. That's not the point.
I got you. I think that's sensible. I mean, I'm with you. I would go the gray rose as well on
Yeah,
on that long, because it would. I think for the sake, like it would challenge my collection a bit more.
totally.
Which is something that I also think about from time to time. Even though,
I mean, imagine going into your watch box and being like, that's a standout watch, even in your own collection.
yeah,
Like that's the whole
yeah,
point to me is like
yeah,
getting excited about diving into your own collection. You know what I mean?
and and look for me the feature set on this annual. I know it's an annual calendar, but to have it the calendar synced up and be adjustable with a button, that to me is cooler
Incredible.
than the setting forward and backward. I don't know why I'm like hung up on this, but
That's
uh,
interesting.
but
Yeah.
to me like that's cool, and that
Brand new
that
movement.
that feels even more practical than yeah and I will say aesthetically I like the proportions of the original annual. This is a Saxonia that we're talking about, a
Right.
Saxonia
Sure.
annual calendar, which has existed for a generation prior.
Yeah.
And
But it
which is
was
a
larger before.
fantastic, slightly larger, but the proportions of everything worked maybe a little bit better for me. That's
I
just
see.
I've handled that one. I have not handled this one. Um,
Yeah. And that was the
so
Longomatic movement.
uh,
I can't
that
remember.
was
But either way, the
was the
push
caliber
button
of that one.
thing,
They did not have a push button,
yeah, no,
though it
no,
had
that's
a
new.
yeah.
And you don't have to unscrew a crown to change it. So
You don't have
like,
to unscrew a crown to change it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, super convenient. All right. What else stood out to
Uh,
you?
I mean, obviously the Lumen was fantastic,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
love seeing
I
seeing
mean,
those
that thing
things.
is really perfect. And I'm not a Lumen guy. Like, I think it's the best Lumen, in my opinion.
Yeah,
It's less distracting. It's just if
it's
if a
yeah,
Lumen could be pure, this is the one.
it's very cool.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Is there anything else that like really stood out to me? I mean, it was nice to see a Grand Seiko diver,
Okay.
right? Which I've been waiting for a while. The GFJs from Zenith, I think are fantastic. I did not care for the smoked open dial of
Mm.
the Chronomaster Sport that they
Hmm.
released. I really, really love the 50th anniversary Nautilus watches,
Yeah.
and that's not a
The
watch I was
38
prepared to pay attention
millimeter.
to at all because of
Right.
just how much they fumbled the 40th anniversary.
Sure.
And but yeah, the oh boy, what is the reference here? It's the
The,
smaller
the
one.
5110, I think it is.
Is it 5810,
Or 59,
5610?
5610. Sorry. Yeah.
Dude,
That thing is, it's perfect. It's
that
perfect.
is, and I don't know why.
I'm
It's
not
always
even a
like,
Nautilus guy. That
me
watch is
neither, me
perfect.
neither. But this is like a wow. And to me, like the date has always kind of like bothered me on watches like this.
Totally.
So removing the date, going to like the OG, no
Two
seconds hand.
hands. Yep.
Oh, oh man, I would mess with this watch for
Addition
sure.
by subtraction.
Yes,
100%.
yes, and it's so funny how they like perfectly encapsulated the history of the Nautilus with the releases, all four of them,
Hmm.
like so with such like nuance compared to like the ham-fistedness of the 40th anniversary.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. It was just like, yep, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah,
Not
I
that I'll
think with the
ever probably
40th,
even see one of these, but
I think a lot of these brands get hung up on special. Like, let's make it special. Let's make it. It's got to be different. And it's like,
yeah,
no, you just need to do the thing the way in its truest form. And I think the was it 5610 is it.
it's a
Like it's
it's a
it.
distillation
Yeah.
of the original because the original that ended up coming in the three different sizes
Hmm.
3700, 3800, and eventually the 4700. But the 3800, which came after because the 3700 was like a bit big for
Yep.
audiences at the time.
Yep.
So this was the one for like the everyman, and then I
Hmm.
think it really kind of picked up the popularity. So this is a watch that like tells the story of how the Nautilus found its footing, and they do that. They kind of like mirror that process with these new watches, which I think is really really
Did you
cool.
see that one flipped for 500 grand or whatever?
No, I haven't I haven't seen any of
Yeah, wrist check in New York, like sold one already for like $460,000, 500 grand, something like that.
well, it
The hundred
wasn't
and twenty thousand dollar watch, I think, platinum.
it, it was not to me. So
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, for 500 grand, I don't know. I might just pull the trigger on the Lumen. You know, like,
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
what? Okay, we gotta touch base on Formula One here because
Yeah, yeah,
like,
quickly V8s now?
for 2030.
Maybe earlier. Let's go, man.
2030 is
Like
way too long away. Like that's 4 years. Like get out
yeah.
of just bring it back, man.
I think it'll happen sooner. The only question would be would they do it what was it 2012, 2013, 2011, something like that? It was like the last time the V8s were in.
Hmm.
Those were like lower displacement though. 2.3, 2.5
With a
liters, something
higher
like that.
rev, yeah.
But if you go back to the 90s and before 8 that had that Ford V8, that was 3.6, 3.5, 3.4,
Mm.
something like that, the bigger displacement era of V8. Um, no shenanigans. I'm sure they would still be a hybrid element though if they do it.
There's
If they
going
do
to
it.
be, yeah.
But it would yeah.
This like deployment of energy and Blake, I gotta be real with you, man. Like I don't enjoy this at all. Like, yes, is it good for passing? Sure. But then you're just playing like I passed you in this corner and now I'm going to pass you in that corner and then it's not skill, it's technology.
It's frustrating for sure. It's the first couple of races I thought, "Oh, this is really fun." But then when I
Yes,
started like listening to the driver's take, especially around qualifying, that to me is like, okay, this is
the fun wore off.
they have to be kind of strategic. They can't just go all out on a flying lap to get. Then I think it's like I think Miami was probably the best so far that the regulations have looked, and I
Mhm.
think the track layout probably has something to do with that as well.
Like
But
here's the best way I know how to describe what I'm feeling. I don't want this to be strategy based. I want this to be pedal to the metal, apex corners, like I I don't want strategy. Like your strategy should be go faster than everybody else.
It should be
Period.
like right like the engineering part like it's a team and driver thing, but the
Yeah.
team is delivering a car that the driver can exploit.
I mean, the pit strategy is already bad enough, you know? Like, I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of it's pitch strategy and has been for ages. Same in NASCAR, which I don't even follow, but like it's been long strategic execution based on pitch strategy. Just go fast, man. Use some skill, drive the car, you know?
Yeah, I want to see the drivers like I want to see their driving skill on
And
full
Max
display.
wants the same thing.
And I think a lot of the drivers do.
Yeah.
And they want to be like, hey, like we are skilled drivers at like how we can manage a car going around a corner ridiculously fast. That's a skill. And these guys are really effing good at it, right? And we've lost that now because well, they can go through these exciting corners a bit slower now because they're regenerating whatever. So and
Boring.
it's like, whoa, wait, I know that might sound like a small thing, but that's the whole point,
What's the point?
right?
Yeah.
Like that 6-7 complex in Australia, or whatever it is, that high, like that's the exciting part of that whole track. And it was just kind of reduced to nothing. Sure, there's some excitement around, that, okay, I like the smaller footprint of the cars. I like that they seem a little more like nimble.
Agile. Yeah.
Yes. So the like kind of we saw some of this in Miami too,
Yep.
which was great. It's really the like I want to see them like pushing it on the edge and like okay, you're 8 seconds behind that guy, but you got fresher tires. Like like
Yeah,
go get him.
look, these cars are going to be fast no matter what technology you throw at them. Um, I think if we could all either have one of two cars back, the MP4 you mentioned, or like a 2004 Ferrari from Schumacher, like give me either
Yeah.
one of those aesthetically and performance wise. I don't care if a lap record is set. I don't, these things are fast. Like that's it.
Yeah, and yeah, it's not like
Because for years it felt like it was all about going faster and faster and faster, and that's fine. But
right, but if a car sets us a lap time like half a second faster than it did last year, like I'm
you're
not
leaving
noticing, you're
everybody.
not noticing.
No, that's what I'm
Like
saying.
it's I feel like they've all kind of been in the ballpark
Yes.
relatively, and that's fine for me. Um,
I mean, shit, if the top 10 drivers in qualifying are 2/10 of a second apart,
I like seeing that. That was
I do too, but I'm not noticing the 2/10 is what I'm, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. Yeah, that
My
last in
mom would
Miami.
say, give them a tie. Like, that's what my mom would say. Like thousandths of a second in swimming in Olympics. I remember my mom used to be like, these poor kids, they train so hard.
Yeah.
Just let them both have a gold medal.
Yeah. And when it comes down to like a tolerance like that tight,
Yeah.
then it can be, well, this driver caught like a bit of wind in that area, or this one
100%.
didn't. So it's like out of the realm of their
Hmm.
skill.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't believe they're still like at this point already, they're setting lap times that are, and like I'm glad that Red Bull, that McLaren made like a jump and that we are seeing like kind of four real competitive teams. Alpine looks fantastic. I feel like Pierre would have had a great result
Mm.
if he hadn't had that unfortunate contact with Lawson.
With the, yeah.
Um,
What is,
so
how are we feeling about Lewis? God, he looks depressed.
yeah, it's always something, right? I'm like, "God, what the hell is happening to him towards the end?" And then I come to
Yeah.
see afterwards, he had like half his car about ripped off from the contact early in the race, and I'm like, God, it's always like something like that that happens to him.
Hmm.
But he's putting himself in that position in the first place, by not qualifying as sharp as he wanted to or whatever. But the first couple of races, I mean, it seemed like, oh,
Hmm.
he's ready to be there. But in Miami, it looked kind of like going back to last year, kind of like
Hmm.
I don't know, just like nowhere. And then he just ends up having these like anonymous races,
Yeah. I wonder if he's
uh,
just cashing a check. And
which is
then,
I hope not.
I
Like
mean, I really don't want to believe that.
I want to say like where's that bite? Like when
Hmm.
Max like spun, I thought, hey, for sure he's gone into the wall. And then they pan over to him and he's back off. I'm like, what?
Like just gunning
But
it.
and he had that like, oh shoot, I'm gonna get back up there. Like where's that bite
The
from Lewis
Speaking of spins, Charles,
Charles?
my God, he dropped 3 places in what, less than a lap?
Yeah, it's
Like, I don't
insane.
understand what's going on. I mean, he put his hand up, he's like totally
Yeah.
my fault, but like I actually don't realize like how did he lose 3 positions though?
When he did spin, he made contact with the wall, and I think had like a
Oh,
slight
okay.
puncture
So
or
that
something
really,
in
really
his
slowed him down.
yeah.
Okay. Got it.
And that's why all the cars going past him. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I hope that they can at least get the regulations into like a serviceable place
Hmm.
for the rest of the year. Um, but yeah, I never want to hear a driver be like, "Well, I couldn't set my fast lap in qualifying because my battery was in the
I had to
wrong."
conserve energy.
Yeah, like come on. Like or because the strategy of how it was being deployed, like the engineers goofed up.
This is how you get your
Like
number
come
one
on,
driver,
man. Like
Max Verstappen, which like I'm not a Max guy. Like I mean, it's I'm not a Red Bull guy. I'm not a Max guy. I'm a Ferrari guy, right?
yeah.
So, but I appreciate Max's drive. I appreciate that he's
Dude, he's
gone to the
unreal. Yeah.
Nürburgring and he's just like mopping people up, you
Dude, the
know?
man's a beast.
Like
Yeah.
he's mad respect. The dude's got ability. But if F1's doing their job right, he wouldn't necessarily be wanting to go do those things.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. No.
think. I'm convinced.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm with you there. Like I said, hopefully they get that dialed in just for the, to be serviceable until we
Yeah.
get those V8s slammed in the back of these
God, I
things.
can't wait. Just even just for the audio, right? Like
Yeah.
I play these clips for my daughter on YouTube. I'm like, listen to this engine.
Yeah. Yeah.
She doesn't know what she's like, but then she started saying like vroom vroom. Like so
Yeah.
now she refers to cars as vroom vrooms.
It'll sink in. It'll sink in. It's
Yeah.
it's playing the Mozart for the kid. It's the same. It's the
Yeah,
same thing.
100%. Yeah, totally. What else, buddy? I know we're a little over an hour here.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm just picking things back up and getting back into the swing of things.
Good.
Both like writing wise, content wise,
Yep.
I'm getting back out running. Fine, like my life is kind
Oh,
of
good.
coming back together into a serviceable place. So
Nice.
yeah,
Well, love hearing that for sure.
yeah, man. Well, I appreciate the support, and
Yeah.
we'll certainly look forward to having any kind of recap on the deep track.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Working on that today, tomorrow. Hopefully have something up Thursday, Friday latest. And then we can post this whenever you want.
Cool, man.
I
Let's
can get this buttoned up today if you want.
yeah, I'll probably on like Thursday. Is
Okay.
that
Cool.
cool?
Yeah, buddy. All
Okay.
right. Well, thanks guys for listening. It's Thursday. You just heard it.
Let's do it.
Okay. Thanks, Blake.
Thanks.
Talk to you soon.